And now, with all these discussions having happened, now I would like the field veterinarians to send their questions by, chat, so by message. So, on behalf of the field veterinarians, I will be asking those questions to these three scientists who have given the presentations. So, now I welcome Dr. Bairagowda, Dr. Chandra Naik, and Dr. Amita Gomes. So, to come on to the camera. So, I want to ask you about the doubts what the field veterinarians have. So, you can individually and you can collectively, you can give or you can clarify the doubts of the people. So, now I will start the question answer session. So, I request all the field veterinarians, if you have any queries, to send across the questions to me. I will be doing it. So, thank you. We shall start the question answer session now. Thank you.
After the lectures on the disease in general, and then the diagnosis, differential diagnosis, and the prophylaxis lectures are over. We'll, before going to the treatment holistic approach to the disease, let us have the question and answer sessions. Now, the first question is to Dr. Chandra Naik. So, the question wants to elaborate answer on, is the virus zoonotic? Basically because this particular disease has come when there is a pandemic of COVID-19. So, please throw some light on what is the situation.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. It's a good question. Basically, as it has been told earlier during the presentations, LSD, lumpy skin disease, is not a zoonotic disease. Let us make it very clear. It's highly species specific, and the disease has been not reported in any other species other than cattle and in some cases in buffaloes. But the disease is highly species specific and it doesn't come to human beings. It's not a zoonotic disease. The second part of the question is good in the sense that it has come in the time when the COVID outbreak has happened. Is there a link between the COVID and definitely there is no link between LSD and COVID-19. The only precaution probably you should take is that while going for treatment or vaccination, go with all precaution measures like the mask and the gloves, so that you will not get exposed. If somebody is positive for COVID in the household or village level, you will not be exposed for the disease. But there is no absolute link between the two diseases. You go to the farmer's house with gloves and mask, so that you will not be exposed to the infections prevailing there.
Now, we were discussing about the species-specific infection. Now, if that is the case, you said it is also found in water buffaloes. Like in the Western literature, our Indian buffaloes are considered as water buffaloes. So, from that angle, is there any case reported in India in buffaloes?
Yeah, I think as of now, we have not got any. We have not seen during our observations in the affected villages, and also we have not got any information of infection in buffalo till now in India, as far our knowledge was. I think that is the status of infection in buffalo.
Now, the cases have been reported in northern Karnataka, where buffalo population is quite substantial, and from that point of view, even in Kalburgi district and all, you have done the investigation. So, from the northern India, people are skeptical whether is there any incident going to happen, or we have to oversee any buffalo cases in future.
Yes. Actually, I think Dr. Amita Gomes, when she presented about the control measures, she specifically told you have to isolate the affected cattle and you have to separate it from the buffaloes. And I think there could be a chance that buffaloes could be infected because the susceptibility is there. Because we have not yet seen a case of LSD in buffaloes, but it's not that it will not come; it may come. But there is nothing to. We have to take the same precautions like what you have done in for cattle in the cows.
Now, the next question is from the wildlife veterinarian from the national park. So he's asking, is there any evidence of published literature that the case is found in wild herbivores? Especially, is it possible that the elephants also can get the disease?
Yeah, like again, I'm reiterating again that virus is highly species specific, and there is no wildlife species will have been found to be. There has been extensive studies on serological evidence to find out serological evidence in South Africa and African nations about this disease, but there is no literature or there is no cases where the virus has infected any wild animals, including elephants. And there is no carrier status, and there is no wildlife reservoirs also for this. This causes an acute infection and it just disappears from that zone. There is no chronicity, there is no carrier status, and there is no reservoirs, and it affects only cattle and water buffalo.
Sir, just I would like to supplement.
Yeah, please.
Chandranayak's statement. As is mentioned, it's species specific, and as of now, the natural cases are seen only in cattle, buffaloes, and some of the Asian water buffaloes. In fact, experimentally, they have even injected some Ziraphase, where they have seen some nodules like LSD, only an experimental infections. And in only one case in Saudi Arabia, they have seen in camel. I don't know whether it's incidental or accidental, but as of now, as per the literature, no natural infection is seen other than these cattle, buffaloes, and water buffaloes in any of the other wild animals or in any of the other domestic animals, even in sheep and goat also. But they have seen experimental induction of infection, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation. The sheep and goat, when they are injected with the virus, they have come out with LSD-like nodules.
Okay, thank you. So next, now you were talking about differential diagnosis. You were talking about the other skin lesions. So, is there any specific protocol to approach the differential diagnosis for LSD, especially the situation where the skin problems are very pronounced?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's why we had included so many slides on the differential diagnosis. It's an important question in the sense that, see, one thing we should remember, this is very characteristic in the formation. There are two things we should remember. No other probably skin problems will have enlargement of lymph node and also nodular lesions on the skin. Okay, and the generalized phenomena of the disease, what we are seeing, will not be seen probably in any other viral infection like parapox or cowpox in any other infection. And this disease is of a long, means if it comes, it will stay for at least 20, 25, 30 days in an animal. If an allergic reaction, it simply disappears in 1 or 2 days with an antihistamine or something like that. And there will be mild nodules or some small, urticaria-like lesions will be seen. But the nodular lesions with high fever and enlargement of lymph node, probably you see only in this disease, not in any other disease, probably. So I think the confusion arises in the milder infection, but the solid, characteristic, highly virulent infections, what we can, the full-blown disease will not confuse. But in the milder infections, we see there may be some confusion. But remember, even in milder infection, it starts with high fever, enlargement of lymph node will be there, and the nodular lesions is very characteristic for LSD alone.
Now, very important question. It is being asked. Now, if the calf, which is less than 6 months of age, will he get the disease from the mother, from the nursing mother? If the mother is, the cow is infected, is it a possibility that the calf will get the infection through the milk?
Sir, shall I answer for this? Yes. Like as I mentioned in the presentation, see, the virus can be seen in milk also. See, okay. When the cow is infected and it is lactating, the virus can easily be seen in milk, and the calf can get easily infected with this disease. So, the source of the virus will be like even in blood or milk or semen. So, this will be the like it's not a like a regular route of infection. It's a, we can say that when virus is there in the milk, the calf also can get infected.
So there's a possibility.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the dose of the vaccine given, Dr. Amita?
Sir, we are recommending, as the Department of Animal Husbandry has recommended 10 to the power 3.5 tissue culture infective dose 50, we are recommending 2 ml of the vaccine by subcutaneous route.
Okay. So, now, as in case of the fox cases, so what is the approach should be? Can the infected animal be vaccinated here?
No, sir, I think it is better not to vaccinate the infected animal. Only the surrounding healthy animals should be vaccinated, and affected animals should never be vaccinated, because it is already affected and it is having the virus circulating in the body. So it is always take up the vaccination in the surrounding villages, or even in the same village, the healthy animals only should be vaccinated.
Okay, so you mean to say the infected animal should be segregated?
Immediately, yeah. As soon as the disease is reported, the first point is isolate the affected animal and segregate it, and then continue with the treatment for that animal. Because I spoke about sanitary prophylaxis and medical prophylaxis.
I was coming to that.
Yeah.
So sanitary prophylaxis is the must. So do you mean to say that the milkman also can be a source of infection to the healthy animals?
Yes, sir.
Mechanically?
But main route of transmission is mechanical transmission by the biting fleas. And transmission through fomites or milkman or anybody, it cannot be ruled out.
Okay.
Could be a chance also.
So now, do you mean to say when so much of infection is there, is zero monitoring a possibility in near future?
Yes, sir. In future, I think we should take up zero monitoring also.
And now you said the animals, the calves before 6 months of age, because of the maternal antibodies, they should not be vaccinated.
Yes, sir.
So can you please elaborate on that? Because milk is having a virus, the animal which is going to nurse the calf can pass on the virus, and the calf cannot be vaccinated and so on. So what is your recommendation?
Sir, what I said is the cows born to immune mothers. I mean, the animals which are infected with the virus, the cows born to such animals will definitely have maternal antibodies. So if you are going to vaccinate before 6 months, it will neutralize the antibodies. Therefore, the vaccination is recommended after 6 months of age. This is a general
Okay.
the concept of maternal antibodies.
Dr. Bairagoda, can you please throw some light on where you have to draw a line between the prophylaxis, from the medical prophylaxis, sanitary prophylaxis?
Sir, now as we seen, the disease is widespread in most of the parts of the even in Karnataka and even other parts of India. See, the sanitary prophylaxis is utmost important now, because the goatpox is not available everywhere. Only limited quantity is available. I think there is only one manufacturer in India currently, and we are giving a small trial vaccines. See, first thing what our veterinarian should concentrate is for sanitary prophylaxis. Like as I discussed in my presentations, see, I have listed like what are all the sanitary agents, like disinfectants or virucidal agents, which we can easily use it whenever there is an infection in an animal. So that has to be taken utmost care, so that the disease should not be spread to the other animals which are in the contact or in the vicinity or any other transmission mode. This thing. The second thing would be vaccination. Like Dr. Amita was mentioning, the goatpox is easily available, which is the choice of vaccine as per the Government of India directions. And in some cases, even sheeppox Romanian strain also have been used. But we are going by Government of India directions, and we are recommending only to use goatpox vaccine. And
So now as a farmer, I have got a couple of animals and I see lesions or symptoms in one particular animal. So what I will do to minimize my risk, I would try to sell the animal at the first instance itself. So that from the public health, veterinary public health point of view, it will be a problem that the disease may spread. So now, what is the role of veterinarian or the Department of Animal Husbandry here to, control the situation? So, Dr. Bairagoda, please.
Sir, this is a very pertinent question, because maybe in most of the cases, what we see in the field is, if one animal is infected, especially in small ruminants, the farmer tends to dispose of the whole population. Otherwise, even some of the sick animals, you will take it to the nearby sandy and try to dispose of all the sick animals. See, that trend has to be discouraged, and we should convince the farmer not to do that, especially in case of this LSD, because we all know that LSD, the morbidity is comparatively less and mortality is very minimal. See, we cannot say that all the affected animals will die. So our role of our veterinarian is, we have to convince the farmer that the affected animal will recover with minimal supportive therapy, and most of the cases it may not affect the even other animals which the farmer is holding, and there are chances of spreading the disease by insects and other biting mosquitoes and biting flies and other things. But we cannot say that 100% all the animals will get infected. In fact, when we visited to some of the affected villages, though some animals there in that village, all other animals were healthy only. So veterinarian should convince the farmer not to sell that animal and take the precautionary measures, like whatever the sanitary measures which we have to take. Like I discussed about some of the virucidal agents which are easily available in the veterinary dispensaries. We can ask them to use those things for the further spread of the disease. And also the veterinarian can say that because vaccine is available right now, we can convince the farmer that we are going to take up the vaccination to the other healthy animals, and you need not panic and need not dispose of your animal, and there will not be any mortality of this animal, and safely you can keep that animal. Veterinarian's role is to convince the farmer in this manner.
No, from my side, I have a question. Now, we are giving, we are advocating that goatpox vaccine can be given.
Yes,
Now
sir.
that the animals are affected, and now this is the season for foot and mouth disease vaccination also.
Yes,
So
sir.
what will be the status of the immunological status of an animal? Now, one, it is having vulnerable for this particular lumpy skin disease on one side. Second, we can expect, because of the relationship of antigenicity with any pox problem. And third is, we are vaccinating the animal. So it's an imaginary question, but I think the field veterinarians want to know that particular scenario. Can you please throw some light on that?
Maybe I can ask Amita to explain more in detail. Sir, this FMD and LSD, they are entirely different issues. And the vaccine what we are giving is a live vaccine, goatpox vaccine. And whatever the FMD vaccine, what we are giving is an inactivated vaccine. Of course, though we can vaccinate simultaneously, absolutely no problem. But these are the LSD cases are isolated cases. Whereas FMD, we are taking on campaign basis where all the animals are getting vaccinated. And maybe I think all the veterinarians are there aware, like since many rounds of vaccination, they are using individual syringe and individual needle for each animal. So there will not be any contamination of this affected animals to the healthy animals. So that is another part. But when we use the goatpox vaccine, it's we can make sure that it will not interfere with any FMD vaccination program or immunity to the FMD vaccination. Amita, you can just supplement for that.
Yes, sir. I think vaccinating against two disease, I think there should not be any problem. I think it will not interfere with production of antibodies. One will not interfere with the other. But anyway, as sir said, FMD is a mass vaccination program, and this LSD is a very And as such, it is not mass vaccination and individual cases and only minimal number of animals where the disease is seen, only that part is vaccinated.
Okay. Now, to the authorities, what suggestion you have among the para-veterinary staff as well as the farmers regarding this control, or especially the sanitary prophylaxis measure to combat this particular disease?
Sir, there may be a apprehension with the all the vets and paravets whether they will transmit the disease. But as per the literature and whatever the research what they have made is transmission by fomites or contamination of the water or feed or whatever this thing, it's very minimal actually. But a mechanical transmission through the needle and other things, it is quite possible. So veterinarians and paravets, they should take care that they should not use the same needle and the same this thing. And as a general practice, any paravet or veterinarian, when we treat one particular animal, it is his responsibility to sanitize himself before he goes for the treating of the other animal. And this was the one of the major reasons why this FMD is transmitted between the animals when they don't follow these sanitary measures when treating the infected animal and going to the healthy animal for treatment without taking proper measure. Whatever may be the whether it is LSD or any other disease, it is customary and it is the responsibility of a vet or paravet to get himself take care all the precautions not to spread to the healthy animals. What, Chandranai?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. If we are through, thank you very much, Dr. Bairegowda, Dr. Chandra Naik, and Dr. Amita. It was indeed, it was my privilege and pleasure that we had this kind of a very lively discussion, a burning topic on that. And I appreciate your cooperation and your time and your interest in deliberating for the benefit of the veterinary profession as such. So I'm very thankful to you that you made this discussion very lively and very useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. My appeal to all veterinarians is maybe you can share all our phone numbers. If any question about this LSD or any other disease or vaccines, they are free to call us at any time. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, when we end the program, I will give all the details of emails and phone numbers. So not only these three scientists from IHNBB, there are a dozen very qualified and very enthusiastic, energetic battery of scientists are there in IHNBB, not only in Bangalore, in all other stations also. You can make use of their experience and expertise, and you can address the problem very effectively and very efficiently, which has been the historical evidence of the role played by IHNBB for the last a couple of decades. So thank you very much. So we take leave from here, and then we move on to the
one more thing before we close. Maybe this is the beginning. We would like to have similar programs for other diseases with other scientific staff involving our IHNBB, so that it will benefit to all the farming community and all the veterinary profession people.
No, that is what Dr. Bairegowda. So this is what organization we are talking about. This animal agri solution is only people like me who are retired from service, but not retired from the serving the veterinary profession. So we have come together for this. So we will be disturbing you as the time comes, so that we would do our bit to make sure that we bring in some awareness, we bring in some small things. So we expect some feedback from the field. So whatever small things also, even for 5-10 minutes also, we can have discussion on this for the benefit of the farmers and the field veterinarians. So our endeavor has been disturbing you and to see how best we can serve. So it is our endeavor to assist the university in general and IHNVB and other clinicians also for this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anytime.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Better, sir.